You're tuning in because, well, you want to get straight to the point, right? Understand what really counts without wading through tons of information.
Yeah, getting that distilled knowledge, the useful stuff, quickly.
Exactly. And today, we're tackling something pretty interesting about power dynamics.
Hmm.
It's how really influential people handle insults. You know, those little bits of disrespect that can catch anyone off guard.
And specifically, how they often manage it without saying anything back. Just silence.
Right, silence is a strategy.
Hmm.
Maintaining control, projecting authority, all without uttering a single word. It's fascinating.
What's really interesting to think about first is why these things, these insults or jabs, even happen, especially towards someone who seems to be in charge.
Good point.
Often it seems less about the actual words and more about the reaction they're trying to get. It's like a test of your composure.
Totally. And it's right there in how you respond, or maybe how you don't respond. That's where the power or lack of it shows.
Oh.
So our mission in this deep dive is to really break down the tactics these people use.
And importantly, how you listening can maybe adapt some of these ideas yourself, whatever your situation.
Yeah, definitely. There was this one line from the source material that really jumped out at me right away. Insults are a test, and the way you respond tells the world exactly how much power you hold or how easily it can be taken.
That sums it up well. It puts the focus squarely on the reaction, not the insult itself.
Exactly. So it's often strategic, not personal.
That's what the sources suggest, yeah. It's often a deliberate play. The person throwing the insult might not even care about the insult itself. They want to destabilize you.
Get an emotional rise.
Precisely. See if they can crack that self-control. Most people, they react instinctively, they get angry, defensive, the ego flares up.
Sure, it's natural.
But the really powerful folks, they seem to operate from a totally different playbook. They do the opposite.
Okay, let's dig into that playbook then.
Yeah.
Why? Why use insults strategically? What's the payoff for the person doing the insulting?
Well, the research points to a few main reasons. First, like you said, triggering that emotional response. Anger, defensiveness. When you feel those, your thinking gets cloudy.
Right. You might make mistakes.
Exactly. Second, it's about what one source called breaking your frame, basically disrupting your composure, your way of seeing things.
Breaking your frame.
Yeah, forcing you into just reacting, not thinking strategically.
So getting under your skin gives them a kind of psychological advantage, like a subtle mind game.
You got it. And third, it can be about lowering your status, pulling you down into the mud with them,
Making you look petty just by engaging.
If they can draw you into a nasty back and forth, everyone involved tends to look worse. And finally, sometimes insults are used like probes.
Probes, how so?
To find your weak spots, how you react defensively can accidentally reveal your insecurities where you're sensitive.
Ah, okay. So they're testing your defenses to see where the cracks are. It reminds me of that quote. They want to see if you'll break. If you do, they win no matter what you say.
That really nails it. The reaction is the prize for the insulter.
Which leads us straight to the big question.
Yeah.
If they don't take the bait, what do powerful people do instead? You mentioned 4 strategies.
Right. The first one is maybe surprisingly simple. They pause.
Pause. Wouldn't that look weak sometimes? Like you're stunned or don't have a comeback?
It could seem that way, but think about it. Reacting instantly can signal you're rattled, that the insult hit home. Silence, though, that can make the insulter uncomfortable.
How so?
They're left hanging. They don't know if it landed, what you're thinking, what might come next. It creates uncertainty for them. It can actually shift the power back to you.
Interesting. So the pause isn't passive. It's actually creating tension, a deliberate move. Okay, what's strategy number 2?
They redirect. They're often very skilled at subtly, or sometimes not so subtly, shifting the focus away from the insult itself.
How do they do that?
It could be nonverbal, a quick glance, maybe a tiny, almost unnoticeable smile that just dismisses the negativity, or they might just, turn their attention elsewhere, change the subject completely.
So not just ignoring it, but actively steering the conversation. Like conversational judo, using the momentum against them.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. The third tactic is they protect their energy.
Protect their energy.
Yeah, the sources really emphasize this. Powerful people tend to be very selective about where they put their attention, their mental effort. They see engaging with every little criticism or insult as a waste.
Like energy is a limited resource you shouldn't squander on negativity.
Oh, exactly. So ignoring isn't just avoidance, it's strategic allocation. It's deciding this isn't worth their valuable time or focus.
That makes sense. Okay, and the last one. You said they win with absence.
Right. This might sound a bit extreme, but sometimes the strongest move is just to disengage entirely.
Like literally leave.
Could be. Physically walk away from the situation, end the call, block someone online, total withdrawal.
Wow. The ultimate silent treatment.
Pretty much. It sends a powerful message. This conversation, maybe even this person, is beneath my attention. That absence, that silence, can actually shout louder than any angry retort.
Okay, these strategies sound powerful in theory. But, can we talk about some real-world examples, people who actually did this?
Absolutely. The sources offer some good ones. Think about Marcus Aurelius,
Right.
Roman emperor. You can bet he faced constant criticism, maybe outright insults,
Sure, comes with the territory.
but publicly. He rarely seemed to react. His focus, at least from his writings, was internal. He wrote things like, you don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you. It's about controlling your inner response.
Managing your own reaction before anything else, that's powerful. Who else?
Well, fast forward quite a bit, Barack Obama. He faced a ton of public attacks, racial slurs, media criticism, you name it. And his typical response, usually very measured, calm. Sometimes he'd use humor, other times just silence. He didn't often let opponents set his emotional tone. He stayed in control by not reacting predictably.
Yeah, his composure under fire was really noticeable.
Then you have someone like Michael Jordan, different field,
Yeah.
obviously, intense competition on the basketball court, lots of trash talk, insults.
Oh, for sure.
But Jordan rarely got into shouting matches. Instead, it seemed like he used perceived slights as fuel. He answered with his performance by dominating the game.
So his response wasn't verbal, it was action, letting his game do the talking.
Exactly. The silence wasn't weakness, it was focus. And shifting to fiction, but still insightful, think of Logan Roy in Succession.
Ah, interesting example.
He's portrayed as a master of power plays, right? And a big part of it is how he dismisses direct attacks. He just ignores them, or he cuts people off literally mid-sentence or just emotionally.
Right, he makes it hard to read.
Yeah, that inscrutability is his power. People are always guessing, always off balance, because he doesn't react in expected ways.
Okay, those examples really bring it to life. But for you listening, maybe not running a country or an NBA team, how can you actually use these ideas day to day?
Great question. The sources suggest some practical techniques. One is working on what they call the neutral face.
The neutral face.
Yeah, basically practicing not showing a big emotional reaction when someone insults you.
Well,
Focus on calm breathing, relax your jaw, keep your eye contact steady. It projects control. It can actually make the insulter feel a bit awkward.
like a social poker face. Don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you react.
Exactly. Another one is the delayed response. Don't feel you have to say something right then and there.
Hold back.
Yeah. If you even need to respond at all, maybe do it later, hours later, days later. With calm action, not heat of the moment emotion, it totally takes the wind out of their sails.
That takes discipline, though. The instinct is to fire back immediately.
It does take practice, but it keeps you in the driver's seat. Then there's the question return.
What's that?
Instead of defending yourself, you just ask a simple, neutral question back. Something like, what makes you say that? Or maybe, are you trying to offend me, or are you just mistaken?
Turning it back on them.
Right. It makes them justify or examine their own words. It can often expose how weak their comment really was.
Puts the spotlight back on them.
And finally, there's simply the move on. Just refuse to dwell on it, change the subject, shift the conversation, steer it where you want it to go.
Controlling the agenda is its own form of power.
Exactly. You're showing their attempt to derail things didn't work.
Okay, so those are things to do. What about things to avoid? Common mistakes people make.
Good point. The sources warn against a few things. First, don't over-explain or get super defensive. It can make you look insecure, like you feel the need to justify yourself to them.
Right, like their opinion actually matters that much.
Exactly. Second, try not to match their emotional energy. If they're angry or loud, getting angry and loud back just means they've succeeded in controlling the emotional tone they've pulled you in.
You're playing their game then.
Precisely. And that leads to the biggest one. Don't try to win the insult fight with a better insult. A clever comeback might feel good for a second, but real victory in this power dynamic often comes from refusing to play their game at all.
So engaging on their terms is already a small loss.
That's the idea. This isn't about learning zingers. It's really a mindset shift.
It's not about being passive, right?
Yeah.
Not just letting people walk all over you.
No, not at all. It's about making a conscious choice about your response. Understanding that sometimes the most powerful, most strategic response is silence. or redirection, or absence.
It's about controlling your own reaction, which in turn shapes how people see you, your strength.
That's it. Like one source said, you can't stop people from throwing shade, but you can stop it from dimming your light. Your reaction controls the impact.
This really reframes how to think about those uncomfortable moments. It's not just about brushing off an insult, it's about understanding power.
And think about the long run. If you consistently refuse to be provoked, you build a reputation for, well, being unflappable, strong. People might eventually learn that trying to rattle you just doesn't work.
And maybe they stop trying.
Maybe. So wrapping it up, the core idea isn't about being the loudest or the sharpest. True power, in this sense, lies in observing, mastering your own emotions, and then acting strategically if action is even needed.
Observing, controlling, then acting. Or not acting.
Exactly. Power often watches, then acts. It doesn't need to shout or explain itself.
So the next time someone tries to pull you out of character, tries to get under your skin with an insult, remember what the powerful do. Say nothing. Win everything. And here's something to think about. How could consciously using just one of these tactics, the pause, the redirect, the neutral face, change your own interactions? What power could you gain by choosing that controlled silence over an immediate emotional reaction? Definitely something to mull over.